Before the world knew him as a dictator, Adolf Hitler was something else to millions of Germans. A savior, a symbol of revival, a promise of pride restored. But how does a man become both a hero and a monster? Germany, 1919. The war is lost. The Kaiser is gone. The streets of Berlin are filled with smoke, silence, and shame. A proud empire has collapsed into dust. Millions of soldiers return not as heroes, but as the defeated. The Treaty of Versailles follows like a blade to the throat. Territories are stripped. The army is gutted. And the German people are forced to accept full blame for a war they believe they never started. But that's not the worst of it. The economy implodes. Inflation becomes a nightmare. In just a few years, a single loaf of bread costs millions of marks. People carry their life savings in wheelbarrows, only to watch them become worthless by nightfall. Mothers sell their wedding rings for potatoes. Men burn money to stay warm. Hunger becomes a neighbor. Despair becomes a friend. In the broken shell of what was once a mighty empire, democracy tries to take root. The Weimar Republic is born, but it's weak, divided, and despised by many. Politicians argue while people starve. Communist uprisings clash with right-wing militias in the streets. No one trusts anyone. The soul of Germany is bleeding and there's no one to stop it. And then, a voice rises. Not from a palace. Not from polished halls. But from beer halls filled with veterans, workers, and broken men. A former soldier, angry, wounded, charismatic, begins to speak. His name is Adolf Hitler. His voice shakes the rafters. He doesn't offer empty words. He offers revenge. He offers order. He offers pride. He blames the treaty, the communists, the Jews, the politicians. He doesn't speak to the nation's mind, he speaks to its wounded heart. And for many Germans it feels like awakening. His speeches aren't just passionate, they're electric. He promises work, dignity, a Germany that kneels to no one. The crowd grows. The fire spreads. And suddenly, for the first time in years, the people feel something they thought was lost forever. Hope. By 1933, that hope has a name. Adolf Hitler is Chancellor. And to millions of desperate Germans, he is not a dictator. He is a deliverer, a symbol of rebirth, a hero rising from the ruins. 1933. Hitler is Chancellor and change is immediate. The streets no longer echo with protest. Instead, they pulse with marching boots and red banners. The Weimar chaos is silenced. The air feels disciplined, purposeful, almost sacred. For the first time in over a decade, Germany feels like it's breathing again. Unemployment drops fast. Really fast. Factories reopen. Roads are built. The Autobahn stretches like a symbol of rebirth. The once worthless mark is stabilized. For the average worker, the difference is real. Bread returns to the table. Wages come on time. Families who once shivered in darkness now see light, both literal and symbolic. Hitler's face is everywhere. On walls. In classrooms. In homes. Children salute his picture before they learn to write their names. But to many it doesn't feel like fear. It feels like unity. Like direction. Germany isn't a splintered nation anymore. It's one voice, one flag, one will, and he's the conductor. The radio, once a luxury, becomes a tool of transformation. Hitler's voice crackles through speakers in every home. He speaks of destiny, of strength, of blood and soil. He promises not just survival, but greatness. And the people listen not because they're forced, but because they believe. And behind the curtain, control tightens. The Reichstag burns, and with it, civil liberties. Enemies of the state vanish. Newspapers are silenced. But for many Germans, these aren't red flags. They're signs of order. After years of chaos, Hitler brings structure, certainty, a future with shape. The 1936 Olympics showcase a new Germany to the world, clean, proud, powerful. Visitors marvel. Foreign press praises the efficiency, the beauty, the strength of a nation reborn. Hitler watches from his podium, hailed not just by his people but admired, briefly, by the world. And among the German masses there is pride again. Not guilt, not shame. The wounds of Versailles are healing, stitched together with concrete, jobs, and belief. To many, Hitler is no longer just a voice in a beer hall. He is a builder, a restorer, a visionary. In their eyes, he is a hero who made Germany rise again. 1939. Germany invades Poland. The world braces for war, but inside Germany the mood is electric. People cheer in the streets. Newspapers call it destiny. Hitler promised expansion, power, and justice for the treaty's humiliation, and now he's delivering. Blitzkrieg works. Poland falls in weeks. France crumbles in 6. Hitler walks through Paris like a ghost of vengeance. To the German people, it's not conquest, it's correction. For the first time in memory, Germany isn't afraid of the world. The world is afraid of Germany. And at home, everything changes again. The economy surges. Arms factories roar with life. There's work for everyone. Rations are distributed efficiently. Youth are organized, trained, fed, told they're part of a rising empire. Every radio broadcast is a celebration. Every film, a hymn to strength. Hitler is hailed as a genius. His face becomes a symbol of national destiny. Mothers name their sons Adolf. Veterans salute with tears in their eyes. Even skeptics, once cautious, begin to believe, maybe he was right all along. But beneath the victories, something darker grows. Jewish families vanish from neighborhoods. Shops are boarded. Synagogues burn. But the press is silent. The public, numbed by hope and pride, looks away. They've been told the Jews are enemies, parasites, traitors. And now those whispers are being acted upon, quietly, ruthlessly, systematically. The Gestapo listens. The SS watches. Dissent becomes dangerous. Fear lives under every floorboard. But many Germans still don't see it or refuse to. The nation feels victorious, unified, strong. And in that illusion of glory, the truth is buried like a body under freshly poured concrete. By 1941, Hitler controls most of Europe. His speeches grow more intense. The crowds bigger. The dream seems within reach, a greater Germany, feared and respected. For the German people, it feels like redemption. The wounds of 1919 have been avenged with steel and fire. But it's all a mask. Behind the triumph lies terror. Behind the unity, silence. And behind the hero they cheer for, stands a man who has already begun writing the darkest chapter in human history. The illusion begins to crack. It starts with whispers, from soldiers returning from the east, from foreign radio, from the few brave enough to speak the unspeakable. The victory's slow. The war grows long. And the truth begins to bleed through the cracks in the propaganda. What was once pride now feels like obsession. Hitler refuses to retreat. Cities are flattened. Millions are drafted. And German mothers bury their sons, not under flags of triumph, but beneath rubble and silence. As the Allies advance, the stories grow louder, of camps, of trains, of ashes, of names erased not by bullets but by gas. 6 million Jews, hundreds of thousands of Roma, the disabled, the dissenters, the unwanted, stripped of identity, herded like cattle, starved, beaten, murdered, not by rogue generals or isolated war crimes, but by design, by policy, under Hitler's command. And suddenly the slogans feel hollow. One people, one Reich, one Führer becomes a haunting echo. The man once seen as a savior is now revealed as an architect of genocide. At home, the Gestapo still knocks at doors. Fear replaces faith. Bombs rain down on German cities. Dresden burns. Berlin crumbles. And the once glorious Reich begins to rot from within. As the Red Army marches toward the heart of Germany, Hitler retreats underground, not as a leader but as a man surrounded by delusion and betrayal. He no longer speaks to the people, only to shadows. His once fiery speeches are gone. What remains is a broken shell of a man who dragged a nation into ruin. A man who promised pride and delivered annihilation. And in April 1945, in a bunker beneath a destroyed city, he takes his own life. No trial. No apology. No reckoning. For the millions he inspired, the millions he murdered, and the millions who followed him blindly, only silence remains. The man once cheered as a hero now lies buried in infamy. This was not the triumph of a nation. It was the tragedy of one. And the world would never be the same again. The war ends, but the horror doesn't. The world walks through the gates of Auschwitz and Dachau, and the silence is unbearable. Skeletons in striped uniforms. Piles of shoes. Mounds of hair. Mountains of ash. What once sounded like rumors is now undeniable truth. And the question echoes louder than ever: how did this happen? Germany is forced to look in the mirror. The hero they once followed turned out to be a mass murderer. A manipulator. A mythmaker. Nuremberg trials begin. The crimes are laid bare one after another. The defense of "I was just following orders" rings hollow against the screams of the dead. But history is not a clear book. In the decades that follow, myths continue to form. Some still say, "At least he built the roads." Others whisper, "He made us strong again." These fragments of false pride survive in dark corners, passed between the disillusioned and the angry. And with every whisper, the danger grows again. Modern Germany rejects him completely. His image is banned. His salute is criminal. Holocaust denial is not tolerated, it is prosecuted. The nation rebuilds not with fire but with apology. Not with pride but with education. Museums are built over killing fields. Schoolchildren visit the camps. Germany, unlike many others, chooses to remember its sins. But in other places, far from the ashes, revisionism spreads like mold. People romanticize power. They see strength without cost. They forget that Hitler's rise was not just about speeches and parades. It was about control, fear, mass murder, and manipulation on a scale the world had never seen. So was Hitler a hero? That depends on what you choose to see. If you see only order, you miss the oppression. If you see only power, you miss the pain. If you see only pride, you ignore the price. History doesn't ask us to worship or to hate, it asks us to understand. And once we do, we are responsible for remembering the full truth. Not just the myth, not just the man, but the millions who paid the price for one nation's illusion of glory. In the end, the question isn't just, was Hitler a hero? The real question is, how close are we to cheering for the next one? History doesn't repeat itself, but it whispers, quietly, patiently, waiting for us to forget. If this story made you think, feel, or question, then like the video, leave a comment, and subscribe for more forbidden chapters they never taught you in school. Because the past isn't dead, it's just buried. And we're here to dig it up.